Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we go harvesting for some flower seeds. So let's go. I love collecting the seeds of different flowers, both annuals as well as perennials. I recently visited a park very close to my home. It's in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it's called Prescott Park. I made a bunch of videos recently showing you my process for saving seeds from different flowers. I'll put links to those videos down below. This video is going to go over 4 different flowers that I harvested the seeds from that day when I visited the park. The first plant that I'm going to show you is yarrow. Yarrow is a perennial here, and it also makes for a wonderful cut flower. The second plant that we're going to look at is the Scabiosa or Pincushion flower. You can find this plant in both annual as well as perennial varieties. You'll find it in taller as well as shorter forms and different colors. But the process for collecting the seeds will be the same no matter what kind of plant you're collecting the seeds from. The third plant is one of my favorites. It's a vining type of plant and it's called Morning Glory. Again, you can find Morning Glory in different colors. I love Morning Glory. I have one growing in my yard right now, so I'm really happy to show you my process for collecting the seeds from that. And then the final plant I'm very excited about is called Zinnia. Zinnia makes an awesome cut flower. I've had it many years in my flower beds and I absolutely love it. I didn't grow it this year in my garden, but I definitely want to grow it next year. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have a lot of videos that show you my process for saving lots of different seeds from flowers as well as herbs and vegetables, but also my process for starting or sowing those seeds. You don't want to miss those. So join me as we go back in time when I went to Portsmouth to collect some seeds. Here we have some beautiful yarrow, which is a wonderful cut flower. And there are a couple of colors. We have a white colored yarrow as well as a pink colored yarrow. I'm going to show you what to look for when collecting the seeds of a yarrow plant. These right here are what the flower buds look like when they're forming. And then the flower buds eventually turn into the blooms or the blossoms on the plant. And this is a very pretty white colored yarrow. I love that. I think it's beautiful. And here's a beautiful pink colored yarrow. Now notice the color of this one here. It used to be a dark pink and it's fading to a light pink. It's starting to form the seed pods, but they're not ready to be picked yet. You know that the seed pods are ready to be picked and have the seeds once it's a brown color like this one here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick the seed pod and then I'm going to show you what the seeds look like. In order to remove the seeds that are inside of these seed pods, all you need to do is just tap it like this. And when you do that, the seeds get released. It might be hard to tell the difference between the seeds and the non-seed material. With something this small, a lot of times for me, it's just easier to save or keep all of this. I would end up throwing away any of the stick material and I would just save everything else in my Ziploc bag just because it's so small and it's hard to take the seeds out of here individually. What you're looking at now is a close-up view of what the seeds look like. And you'll see that they do look quite different from the non-seed material. And I kept a US dime there just so that you can see the size difference between the seed pods, the seeds next to the dime. Over here we have the beautiful Black Knight Pincushion flower. And I'm going to take you in for a closer look to show you what to look for when collecting the seeds off of this plant. This is what the flower bud looks like, and it's just barely formed. I'm going to show you a larger flower bud now. Notice the difference between the smaller flower bud and this larger flower bud. And that's what the blossom looks like. Isn't it gorgeous? And here is a blossom that just barely has gone by and it's now starting to go to seed. And here's a seed pod that is almost ready to be picked. And you'll notice that it still has some green bits in the center of it. But within a few days, the seed pod will be ready. So with the seed pod here, you'll notice that some of the seeds have already started coming out of the seed pod. They are ready to be picked. Again, this plant is different than other plants you might see. It's never going to turn completely brown. But once you start seeing that the seeds are starting to get released, that's a good indicator that the seed pod is ready to be picked. The seeds started falling off of the seed pod when I put them in their bag the day that I collected them. But if you wanted to remove the seeds from the seed pod, just move it around just like this. And when you do that, the seeds come right off of the seed pod very easily. And here we are looking at what the seeds look like close up. You'll notice that the seeds look like little papery rocket ships. I'm not really sure how else to explain it, but at least you're getting a close-up view of what the seeds look like as well as the seed pods. Who doesn't love morning glories? I'm going to show you how to collect the seeds from a morning glory vining plant. See this right here? Those are the flower buds in their very earliest forms. But right behind it is a flower bud that is a little bit more mature, and it's going to open up probably tomorrow or the day after, just like this flower bud here. And this is what the flower looks like. It's later in the day, so the flowers are starting to close, but this gives you an idea of what this blossom looks like. This is where the flowers have gone by and they've started to go to seed. This is the early form of the seed pod, and notice that they're a green color. They're not ready to be picked yet. See this cluster? These are the seed pods that are ready to be picked. Notice the brown color? Let's go ahead and pull these off, and I'm going to show you what the seeds look like. And they are basically just falling right out. You can see the black colored seeds right there. I think you're noticing a common theme. Many of the seeds already came out of their seed pods on the day that I collected these seeds. But you can at least see what the seeds look like next to the seed pods. But here's a seed pod right here that didn't open. To release the seeds from the seed pod, you can just squeeze it with your fingers like this. And when you do that, the seeds will come right out. And each seed pod usually has at least 6 or 8 seeds inside of it, which is really nice. I don't have any more seed pods that are unopened at this point, but here you're looking at a close-up of what the black seeds look like and what the seed pods look like once they've opened up. It's been years since I've grown zinnias in my yard. Next year, I'm definitely going to grow a lot more zinnias, but check out this color right here. I've never grown this color of zinnia. I'm going to collect the seeds from it, and I'm going to show you what to look for if you want to collect seeds from zinnia as well. This is the flower bud at its very earliest form. And here's the flower bud getting a little bit bigger, and you can see the color showing up in the center of it. Here, the flower is just starting to open up and reveal its beauty. Look how beautiful that is. That is what the zinnia flower looks like when it's nice and open and full. Here, the zinnia is starting to fade and go by. This flower is still continuing to fade, but don't let it fool you. The seeds are not ready to be picked yet. See the stem here? It's a brown color. That's what you're usually looking for. You don't want a green stem, you want a brown stem. And you can see that the seed pod has turned a brown color as well. We're going to go ahead and pick that, and I'm going to show you how to collect the seeds from this seed pod. And here I am just removing some of the seeds from the seed pod. And there's a seed right there. There's another one right over there. And along with the seeds, you will get non-seed material, and you can easily discard that afterwards once you've separated the seed from the non-seed material. So this right here is non-seed material, and these right here are seeds. So here's another seed pod. We can do the same thing. And you definitely will get a lot of non-seed material, and that's okay. That's part of the process here. I want you to notice the close-up view of the seeds that we have here. And what I'm going to do for you is I'm actually going to put a circle around the seeds that are the best seeds that you can collect when collecting your zinnia seeds. Because sometimes some of the seeds that you're going to find will not be necessarily a good viable seed. I usually like to go after the seeds that seem a little bit more firm. And you'll know the difference when you're collecting the seeds. The ones that don't seem as firm, those are typically not going to be seeds that are viable. So it's always good to collect more than less seeds when you're collecting seeds from any plant. There are a few things I want to talk about when it comes to collecting seeds. You always want to store your seeds dry. If you store them wet, then there's a chance that the seeds will rot. So always make sure you're storing your seeds completely dry. I like to store my seeds in small little Ziploc bags that I found on Amazon. They're about 2 by 3 inches in dimension, but you can store your seeds in a paper bag, an envelope, a glass jar. There are endless ways you can store your seeds, but the big thing is store them dry and also store your seeds in a cool, dark, and dry location. When it comes to seeds, they start to lose their viability as the years go on, so it's always a good idea to label the year that you collected your seeds, just so you know how old the seeds are that you're working with. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down in the comment section below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.